Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Austin Samuels and welcome into Coug on the Clock.
I'm Sam Taylor. Today we're going to be talking about some Cougar football and some Cougar soccer.
As well as where the Seattle Seahawks go from here on out for the rest of the year, and a little NBA preview with the league tipping off this week. Let's hop right into it. So getting into Cougar football, obviously the big news this week is on Monday, head coach Nick Rolovich was fired after his refusal to get the COVID-19 vaccination. Obviously the effects of this are going to be pretty widespread, in regards to how the team is going to react going forward. What do you think about that?
Definitely. I think one of the strengths of Nick Rolovich's tenure is that he was definitely seen as a player's coach.
Absolutely.
The players had a lot of respect for him. And his departure does hurt. It does sting as we stand now. But I think it's an opportunity for the university to find someone really good to lead this team. And they found someone in the interim with Jake Dickard, who has been serving as defensive coordinator for the past 2 seasons. I think to do that.
Yeah, I think Jake Dickard, he's gonna take over. He's been the defensive coordinator, and I think, in terms of scheme-wise, I don't think a lot's gonna change, especially in the middle of the season. I think the offense is gonna remain fairly similar with the run-and-shoot style that Nick Rolovich had. I think, really it's just a matter of culture and a bit of a culture shock with him leaving in the middle of the season. So you've got to question, the players' motivation and drive. Obviously they're motivated, but it's definitely going to be a bit of a morale hit, going into a really big game this week against the BYU Cougars. It'll be really interesting to see where their head's at and how they come out on Saturday.
Definitely. They've got a very difficult stretch with 3 ranked opponents in the next 4 weeks.
We take on BYU this weekend, and then we go on the road against the
Arizona State.
Sun Devils of Arizona State, and then we go to OU, to Oregon, which is always a tough matchup. But as of right now, we are right in the thick of things in regards to the Pac-12 North race. We're sitting at 4-3 overall, 3-2 in conference. 3 games ago, if you would have told me that we would have been here, I would have said you're crazy. But we've gone on a 3-game winning streak. We've beat Cal, Oregon State, and now Stanford this past weekend. The offense seems to have transformed, don't you think?
Absolutely. It's just been simply phenomenal to see Delora's skill in getting the ball out. When you feed Borghi, good things happen,
Absolutely.
And I think it's been really exciting.
Yeah, he had one of his best games of the year last week. They gave him 17 carries, which is a season high. He racked up 89 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the winning score, which is by far the most important there, in crunch time against Stanford. So on that note, we're going to be moving on to some WSU Cougar soccer. And my goodness, the Cougs have had a heck of a season, wouldn't you say, Sam?
Oh, absolutely. This is the 7th time in school history that they've had double-digit shutouts. And they've just been all over the place with success, all over the pack, doing really well. And they find themselves currently in 3rd place, just 5 points out from 1st place and 1 point behind 2nd place. And they get to play those 2 schools that are ahead of them, USC and UCLA.
Big weekend. USC and UCLA, both ranked in the top 10. Both California schools coming to town this weekend. Big matchups.
Absolutely.
It is going to definitely play big in where the standings end up in regards to the Pac-12 championship for soccer going on this year. The Cougs, this is the craziest stat that I have found when looking at WSU Soccer. We've outscored opponents 33-6.
Wow.
That is utter domination in soccer. So absolutely great season. Sitting at 10-2-2 as of right now. But a big weekend ahead. And anything else to add on Cougars soccer?
Well, I'd say that just to shout out a few players that have been pretty
absolutely.
key to our success, to the Coug success, is freshman goalkeeper Nadia Cooper, who only allowed 1 goal in her first 10 games, and in match number 11 allowed 2/3 of her total goals in her whole college career, 2 to the Arizona State Sun Devils. However, despite allowing those 2 goals, she kept her head in the game, and with a career high of 10 saves. So Nadia Cooper's just been lights out this year.
Yeah, that was definitely a tough game for the Cougs. They go up 2-0 on the road against Arizona State. Unfortunately, they end up coming away with just 1 point, getting the tie. But yeah, I definitely think Nadia Cooper, as a freshman, coming in to be the lead goaltender, big deal there. I would say for my impact player, it would definitely be Elise Bennett. She's the highest scorer on the team in terms of points and goals. The fifth-year senior, the super senior, if you will, definitely a huge leader out there, and one of the biggest offensive threats on this Cougar team. Definitely will be looking to her to have a big weekend this week against the California schools.
Indeed.
So moving on to our next topic, what's going on with the Seahawks, Sam? Where do you think they go from here on out for the rest of the season?
Yeah, so it's really tough. We all saw that Sunday night matchup in Pittsburgh where the Seahawks lost 23-20. It was a heartbreaker indeed. Like, they had that chance and they just threw it away, it seemed. And granted, I think we've gotten spoiled over the last decade. The Seahawks have had a winning record every year since 2012, and we're just not used to this kind of struggle at this point in the season.
No, definitely not. And obviously, you're expecting that to happen when Russell Wilson goes down. One of the best quarterbacks in the league, maybe one of the best quarterbacks of all time. As you said, they haven't had a losing season in his tenure, which is just absurd because, they've gone through multiple coordinators over that time. Obviously, they're in a bit of a tricky spot here. They've got Geno Smith, who started last game, filled in for Russ the week before. It's kind of tricky, where they go from here. They've got 2 relatively, I don't want to call them easy games, but winnable games. On or at home against New Orleans and then against the Jags as well.
Yeah.
After that, could Russ come back? In regards to the IR, he could, but will we see that? Is his finger going to heal in time? I think that's a really big question. But what do you think, their other options could be at quarterback, or do you think they explore other options at quarterback?
Yeah.
At this point.
Well, on Wednesday, they signed the former UW Husky Jacob Eason, who has some NFL experience. It'll be interesting to see how he competes. I think Geno definitely is the starter going into Monday night's game, and we'll just see how it unfolds with the competition at practice. Yeah.
So do you think that there's any chance, trade deadline is looming, it's not, close, but do you think that there's any chance Seahawks go out and try and trade for a quarterback, maybe a guy who's a backup on a team right now could be a starter? Do you think that's in the cards, or do you think if Russ is out long term, do you think they kind of just pack it up?
Yeah, I think it definitely depends on how long Russ is out, and we just don't know that yet.
Absolutely.
Geno Smith's been in the system for a year, 2 years, or 3 seasons so far, something like that. And so he's been around the program and holding the clipboard next to Russell Wilson and learning. So I think if anyone's equipped to run this offense, it's Geno Smith for the time being.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think, to make things easier on him, because obviously Russ has been a huge playmaker, outside of the confines of the offense, I think, they got to run the ball and they got to play better defense. We saw a little bit of a glimpse of that. Alex Collins ran for over 100 yards. Big game for him, but I think they got to lean on the defensive run game. So on that note, let's move on to our final topic. The NBA is back. It's crazy to think about. Things just wrapped up in July, but here we are. We are back in season again. What are you looking forward to this season, Sam?
Well, in the NBA's 75th year, it's going to be a really good show, I think, all around. My family's from Wisconsin, so it was very thrilling to see the Milwaukee Bucks take it all last year. And I think entering the season, they are the top. They are the top team, just by virtue of getting that championship.
Absolutely.
There are a lot of teams out there that are looming that have built just impressive rosters all around. Namely the Brooklyn Nets and the Los Angeles Lakers, who have assembled their own little super teams.
Two super teams in the East and West. Yes, definitely. But I think part of what was so great last year is, neither of the super teams were there.
Exactly.
We got to see a really great finals matchup between the Suns and Bucks. And I think, NBA fans were more intrigued last year, I know I was, than years past. And I think we're going to see a lot of that same thing this year. I personally do not have either of the super teams winning the NBA Finals. In fact, for my finals prediction this year, I've got the Phoenix Suns coming back to the finals. I think, their consistency is going to prove key for them. They've got everyone coming back this year, which is a big deal. Against the super team from the East, the Brooklyn Nets, I think, with all the drama aside, I think they're too talented. But in the end, I've got the Phoenix Suns, the Cinderella story, if you will, winning the finals, getting CP3 that first ring. What's your finals prediction, Sam?
So I'm going to place my faith in the super teams, just because, just to be that guy. Because when you've got that much talent, you've got to go all the way eventually. And the Nets, of course, they failed to go all the way. They got stopped in the Eastern Conference Finals, I believe. And so I think, just like you, I think they make it to those finals. I think they win it all. And they do it over the Lakers. The Lakers obviously getting it done in just in the prior, or the 2 seasons ago, in the midst of COVID and the bubble. But now they've got LeBron James, and you can't bet against LeBron, except for in this particular finals prediction. They've got Anthony Davis, and they've got Russell Westbrook on that team. And so I think that's just a talented duo that, opening night result aside, will figure things out and pave the way to the finals.
Yeah, definitely a lot of talent there, but I think, that comes with a lot of drama as well,
Indeed.
which I think might be their downfall. But definitely going to be a good NBA season, no doubt. I don't think there's any arguments about that. But I think that's just about going to do it for us here on Coug on the Clock. Anything else to add, Sam?
I think I'll just mention two key moments for this week in sports history. We'll just do a quick segment on that. As the Cougs prepare to face Arizona State in a week from now.
2 weeks, yep.
Yep. They've got a lot of interesting matchups to look back on in their history, including their October 22nd, 2016 matchup, where they beat Arizona State 37-32. Seasoned Cougs will remember that Luke Falk was sacked 7 times in that game, but still passed for nearly 400 yards. And Robert Taylor had a 100-yard kickoff touchdown return. So here's hoping that next week against Arizona State can be just as exciting as that game was in 2016.
Yeah, absolutely. Throwback to Luke Falk. He ended up being the leader in WSU passing yards and I believe Pac-12 yards in the history of the conference, which is impressive, man. He's one of the best quarterbacks we've had, but there's been quite a long list. So definitely going to be looking forward to that Arizona State game coming down the pipe here soon. But I think that's just about going to do it here for us on Coug on the Clock. If you guys haven't already, go follow us at Unorthodox Sports on Instagram. And that's going to do it. I am Austin Samuels.
And I'm Sam Taylor.
And we will see you guys next time.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.